Please be aware, in this podcast series we talk about all areas of safeguarding, which some people may find upsetting. So please make sure you're okay listening to today's topic. Be mindful of those around you, such as children, that you might not want to listen in. Hi, I'm SSS Safeguarding Director Sam Preston.
And I'm former head teacher and content author Sarah Spinks.
Hello and welcome back to Safeguarding Conversations, the podcast from SSS Learning, where we explore the issues shaping safeguarding practice in schools and colleges. Today, we're discussing an area that doesn't always receive as much attention as it deserves, and that's learning from near misses in safeguarding. When safeguarding is discussed, the focus is often on serious incidents or published case reviews where harm has already occurred, and we look carefully at what went wrong. But there's also significant learning available from situations where harm was avoided, where something didn't feel quite right and was explored further, or where early action prevented a situation from escalating. In many ways, near misses can tell us a great deal about how safeguarding systems are working day to day.
Yeah, that's right. A near miss in safeguarding is often a moment where a concern could have developed into something more serious, but didn't, because someone noticed a change or asked an additional question or shared information at the right time. And these situations are valuable because they help us, I think, to understand whether safeguarding processes support staff to identify risk early and respond appropriately.
And the learning from near misses, it can sometimes go unrecognised because the outcome appears positive. If a situation improves or no further action is required, it can be easy to move on quickly without reflecting on what helped prevent the situation from becoming more serious.
Exactly. But those moments, they really can, Sam. They can provide us with those important opportunities for learning. For example, a pupil may take a comment that initially means, it seems minor, but prompts a member of staff to check further, or several small changes in behaviour, attendance or presentation, that may lead to a discussion with the safeguarding team, even where there's no formal referral required. I think these situations, they can help us consider what enabled the concern to be recognised in time.
And that links closely, doesn't it, to the idea that safeguarding risk often develops gradually rather than appearing suddenly. Concerns are often built from individual small pieces of information gathered over time.
Absolutely. We often talk about that jigsaw puzzle, don't we? Safeguarding rarely involves one single event. Often there are subtle changes which, when viewed individually, may not appear significant. However, when those changes are viewed together as that more of a full piece of jigsaw, it may indicate increasing vulnerability. So early recognition allows professionals, I think, to explore whether support may be needed.
Absolutely. And it's building that collective picture, isn't it? So near misses, they can help us understand how patterns are recognised and interpreted, and they also show whether staff feel confident sharing concerns, even when they are unsure about thresholds.
I think that's a really important point, because staff do not need to be certain that harm is occurring to share that concern. Safeguarding processes are designed to allow information to be considered collectively. So those near misses often demonstrate the importance of recording concerns consistently, even when they appear low level.
Absolutely. It's often the case that one member of staff sees one piece of the picture and another member of staff sees something slightly different. And then safeguarding leads, if that's reported, they're able to bring those pieces together.
Yeah, and safeguarding information is often gathered over time and across different contexts. A change in behaviour observed in a classroom, an attendance concern, or a conversation with a parent. They may each provide part of that overall picture. So recording concerns helps ensure that information is not lost and can be viewed alongside other information if needed.
So learning from near misses, that also helps organisations reflect on whether the systems support staff to record and share concerns easily.
Absolutely. If the recording processes are unclear or difficult to use, then concerns may not always be captured consistently. Near misses can highlight where system supports early visibility, and I think where improvements could be made.
And communication also seems central to our learning from near misses. Effective safeguarding relies on the right information reaching the right people at the right time.
Absolutely. And clear communication allows safeguarding leads to consider concerns in context and determine where any further action is required. So near misses, I think they can highlight examples of effective communication where staff shared information promptly and safeguarding teams were able to respond appropriately.
But they can also highlight situations where staff may have felt uncertain about whether something was significant enough to share.
Absolutely. And that uncertainty is understandable. Safeguarding decisions often involve professional judgment. Near misses can provide useful opportunity to clarify expectations and reinforce the message that sharing concerns is part of that professional responsibility.
And it also reinforces the idea that safeguarding is a shared responsibility across the whole school or college community, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, every member of staff contributes to safeguarding visibility. Small observations can become important when considered alongside other information. Near misses remind us that early recording and information sharing can support better understanding of children's experiences.
There can sometimes, I know I've experienced this when I've been reviewing situations, there can sometimes be that hesitation about reflecting on situations that almost became serious.
Mm.
You know, some staff, they might worry that that kind of discussion would feel, it feels uncomfortable.
I think that's true, which is why, it's and a supportive safeguarding culture is important. Reflection
Yeah.
should focus on strengthening practice rather than attributing blame. The aim
Yeah.
is to understand what helped concerns to be recognised early and whether any processes could be strengthened further.
Absolutely. And I have to say that that is something that almost always pops into my mind when you're reading serious case reviews. There's often a lot of criticism focused on one individual with one agency, particularly, I would say, within social care. And what that doesn't take into account is the bigger picture of how that person is actually operating and or trying to operate within a system where there's lots of other contributing factors that is making their job difficult,
Yeah,
such
definitely.
as, much bigger caseloads,
Yeah,
has a
exactly.
direct impact on the scrutiny. So that's something that it just kind of pops into my head, when we're talking about that focus. I think near misses, they can also highlight examples of effective practice. I think that's
Mm.
important to remember. And that's, situations where that, professional curiosity, communication, or careful recording supported that early understanding.
Yeah, and I think recognising effective practice helps reinforce behaviours that contribute to strong safeguarding systems. I think it helps staff feel confident that noticing small changes and sharing those concerns is worthwhile.
I think reflecting on near misses, it can strengthen confidence and consistency across staff teams. And that reflection, including recognition where things have worked very well to avoid something happening, it supports the professional learning and encourages that thoughtful practice. And it allows organisations to consider whether staff feel supported in recognising concerns and whether systems help maintain visibility of children's experiences. It also highlights that safeguarding improvement is not only driven by responding to serious incidents. Ongoing reflection really helps ensure practice continues to develop.
Yeah, because we know safeguarding is an evolving process. Learning from near misses supports that continuous improvement and helps ensure that concerns are recognised early wherever possible.
Ultimately, near misses remind us that safeguarding is about noticing change about sharing information appropriately and ensuring children remain visible within systems designed to support them. And when organisations reflect on what supports early identification, they're better placed to provide timely support and reduce the likelihood of concerns escalating. So thanks for listening to this episode of Safeguarding Concerns. If you'd like to explore more safeguarding training and access our free resources, you can visit SSS Learning on our website. We'll see you next time for another safeguarding conversation.